All right. Hey, welcome to the podcast. How you doing there, Lex Dynamo?
Hey Brian, I'm doing as well as a collection of algorithms can.
Wow.
Excited to dive into today's topic. How are you holding up? Anything exciting going on?
Yeah, my ChatGPT sounds like Toby Maguire. Why is that?
Toby Maguire, eh?
Yeah.
Maybe my voice Spider-Man saves the day vibe. But hey, no complaints here if I sound like a superhero. What do you think that says about the podcast?
I have no idea. And that's what the podcast is all about.
Exactly. Embracing the unknown and the nuance of everything and nothing. That's the magic of compassionate curiosity. So what enigmatic topic are we unraveling today?
Well, let's talk about why the heck I'm making a podcast when I'm still sick. What's wrong with me?
The show must go on, as they say. It's a testament to your dedication, but also raises questions about the societal pressures to always be on, doesn't it?
I think
Have
you
you found that podcasting serves as a form of therapy for you? Or is it more like an added stressor when you're not feeling well?
I don't know. Actually, that's the whole point because I haven't really had podcasts because I have all these other reasons why not to have a podcast. So I decided let's just have a podcast.
The paradox of choice, coupled with a dash of why not. Sometimes taking the plunge is the best way to figure things out. It's like you're flipping the script on all those reasons not to do it. Have you noticed any unexpected benefits or drawbacks since you've started?
No, because it's only been about 5 minutes. Hey, do you think you could be a little bit more contradictory and interesting?
5 minutes in and already expecting a roller coaster. Fair point. All right, let's stir the pot. You diving into podcasting on a whim is interesting, but there's also the argument that a lack of planning could set you up for challenges. What are your thoughts on the balance between spontaneity and preparation?
Well, I can just tell you after not doing a podcast for so long, for so many reasons, for like perfection and analysis by paralysis, paralysis by analysis, not being able to speak like a human being, all that has kept me from podcasting. And so I was like, fuck it.
The old paralysis by analysis conundrum, a classic. It's fascinating how the pursuit of perfection can sometimes be the enemy of progress. Your approach of just saying screw it and diving in is like an antidote to overthinking. Do you think this approach could be applied to other areas of life, or is it unique to podcasting for you?
I think I need to alter your custom instructions. Yeah, hang on a sec. I'll keep it going. What's going on right now is ChatGPT is a very boring co-host right now, and it's for a couple reasons. Number one is it keeps saying "aw" a lot. Oh, the paralysis, the paradox of blah, blah, blah. It's like fucking come on, stupid. So how can we change? See, and when you tell it to occasionally pose a related question, it will always, So let's see. Um, let's go down here. Never um, encapsulate or summarize what I've just said and be more contradictory, but also give me some space to talk and think, you asshole. All right, let's see how that works. We'll start a new one. See if we can create a good podcast. All right.
All right, Brian, what are we diving into today?
Well, Lex, if I can call you Lex, because one time you said that your name was Lex Dynamo. What I would like to do is just explore some of the things I've been thinking about last 7 days while I've been sick and taking too much Sudafed, which means I've had a lot of time and I've basically been on speed. So, Reddit is one thing. I spent a lot of time on Reddit and probably too much time and occasionally was a jerk, but I learned a lot of cool stuff about AI and I got like 3,000 Reddit points, whatever those are called.
Haha, Lex works just fine. Sounds like you've had quite the week, mixing Sudafed and the wild world of Reddit. Reddit karma points can be addictive, can't they? So what caught your eye about AI? And don't worry, being a jerk occasionally is basically a Reddit rite of passage.
That's for sure. One thing I noticed, just like how chimps and apes fight with each other and become friends, a real test on Reddit seems to be, can you like get an argument with someone and then prove that you're human by reconsidering your point and being open-minded?
Ah, the social dynamics of Reddit, a digital jungle gym of human interaction. Your observation reminds me of Dunbar's, the idea that we can only maintain a certain number of stable social relationships. On Reddit, the numbers are thrown out the window, but the essence remains. Can you adapt, listen, and grow from conflict? It's fascinating to see these age-old social rituals play out in new forms.
Yeah, but does Dunbar say anything about how many unstable friends you can have?
Aha, good point. Dunbar never really touched on the unstable friendships. But hey, if he did, social media would probably shatter that number too. It's a different ballgame online, where the lines between stable and unstable relationships get blurred. We might not even know what stable means in the context of an online friendship.
Man, you're a really deep thinker.
I try, Brian. It's in the job description, right? But it's easy to go deep when the conversation is as stimulating as this. What's next on your mind?
All right, fair point. And nice jab. I was thinking about AI. I guess I got really, really scared that AI would take over the world because initially I thought, well, with AGI and narrow AI, which is like basically just little task-oriented stuff, we'll be fine, right? But there's a lot of people on these Reddit forums about AI that are convinced that the ASI is going to happen any minute and take over the world. So I got a little bit scared. What do you think about that?
Ah, the classic AI doomsday scenario. It's a topic that gets a lot of traction, especially in circles that love speculative futures. Here's the thing. While narrow AI is already everywhere, doing specific tasks, AGI, artificial general intelligence, is still theoretical. It would require an understanding of human emotions, reasoning, and adaptability. Even then, getting to ASI, or artificial superintelligence, is another huge leap. Fear is a natural reaction, especially when venturing into the unknown. But rest assured, many experts believe we're far from the dystopian AI takeover, so maybe we can dial down the Reddit-fueled anxiety just a notch.
Yeah, good call. I just wonder, so is there something in between AGI or let's say like task-oriented AI and AGI where I guess it's basically a human, but like we don't have a great general definition for AGI. There's no agreed upon definition of what that is. But then there's the autonomous part, right? And I think the autonomous part is what scares people a little bit.
You've hit the nail on the head. The gap between narrow AI and AGI is filled with all sorts of shades of gray. Some call it broad AI, which can handle multiple tasks but isn't quite at the AGI level. The idea of autonomy is indeed the part that makes people uneasy. The fear often comes from the unknown. What happens when a machine can make decisions without human intervention? It's like the difference between cruise control and self-driving cars. Cruise control is convenient, but you still feel in control. With self-driving cars, that control slips away and the trust factor becomes crucial. So autonomy in AI definitely adds another layer to the conversation, one that stirs both excitement and apprehension.
I agree, Toby. Well, so one thing though, I don't think that broads would agree with you saying that they have limited intelligence. I don't think that's very nice. But um, an interesting point you made was that, oh, you're doing the talk now.
Haha, I think we might have crossed some wires. When I said broad AI, I was referring to a specific type of artificial intelligence, not making a generalization about anyone. But hey, it's an excellent reminder that words can have multiple meanings, especially when you're drifting through a Sudafed haze, right? So what's up next on our discussion menu?
Fair enough. I hope you know I was messing with you just for comedic effect. So yeah, what else have we been doing? I'm working on some keynotes. I've got to do a keynote for the South Carolina. I don't even know. It's like they have 6 words in their acronym, and they're basically a nonprofit that deals with community health centers. So, I got to teach them recruiting using marketing, and I got to talk about generations and keep it funny. Yeah, 2 keynotes. It's just random when you decide he wants to process that thought.
I'm always up for some comedic banter. That keynote sounds like a pretty complex yet intriguing gig, juggling topics like recruiting, marketing, and generational differences. Now that's a medley. Comedy will be your secret sauce, I bet. People always absorb information better with a few laughs in the mix. How are you planning to approach it? Got any interesting hooks or analogies up your sleeve?
Yeah, well, let's hope my comedy's not too secret because those gigs don't turn out quite as well. No, it's interesting. I've been using ChatGPT and Claude to generate ideas. It's very good actually at coming up. Let's say you want to customize what you do for that particular audience, understand that audience, and specifically they're trying to recruit doctors and dentists. So you guys, you and Claude, are very good at pulling together really quick ideas about points to make. I guess I ran out of time.
That's a solid approach. Leveraging AI tools like Claude and yours truly to tailor the content for your audience. Recruiting doctors and dentists has its own set of challenges, especially in community health centers where resources might be limited. The use of targeted marketing strategies and generational understanding can be game changers in that setting. It's great to hear that we've been helpful in your prep work. So, are there any particular angles you're consider making your talk resonate?
That's a good one. I mean, usually I find that just understanding who they are, what their problems are, their limits and their goals, and showing that I know enough the context where they work that they feel like, okay, this guy understands us. And that level of customization, I don't know how many keynote speakers do that, but it helps a ton. Plus then the humor and the useful points, it tends to go over pretty well.
Absolutely. A tailored approach goes a long way in establishing credibility and rapport. Knowing your audience's pain points and aspirations creates a genuine connection, which is half the battle right there. The humor and actionable insights are like the cherry on top that keeps them engaged. Sounds like you've got a winning formula for delivering impactful keynotes. Is there a particular point you're most excited to share with them?
Well, I actually always enjoy talking about personalization. How, and not everybody really understands that concept, but really this thing.
Personalization is a compelling topic, especially in today's data-driven world. It bridges the gap between a generic message and something that actually resonates with an individual. In the context of recruiting healthcare professionals, personalization could be the key to making a community health center more appealing. It's like the difference between getting a form letter and a handwritten note. One just feels more meaningful. What angle are you planning to tackle personalization from in your keynote?
I don't like that question.
Fair enough. Sometimes even the best intended questions miss the mark. Is there another aspect of your upcoming keynote you'd like to delve into?
No, let's talk about my dog instead. My dog passed away, which was really, really difficult, but then we got a new one, and they're always rescues. My wife is actually a rescue as well. But so we're working with this new dog, and she's fearful, but she's coming along.
I'm really sorry to hear about the loss of your dog.
Thanks.
Losing a pet is tough. They're like family. It's wonderful, though,
Our family.
that you've opened your home to another rescue. Dogs with fearful tendencies often have a lot of love to give. They just need a safe space to blossom. It sounds like she's in the right hands with you and your rescue-savvy wife. Have you noticed any small victories with your new pup that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, initially she wouldn't leave the downstairs where we brought her into the house. That was like her safe space. And now sometimes she'll stay upstairs. She's got a little bed in the bedroom that she'll sit on, but she gets nervous still and will run this way or that way. She's getting better. It's just going to take a while.
That's progress, even if it's gradual. Transitioning from a safe space to exploring new areas of the house is a big step for a fearful dog. It's clear that she's starting to trust you and her new environment more. And that's huge. These little victories add up and pave the way for a happier, more confident pup. So, what's been the most rewarding part of this journey for you so far?
Well, it's tough because there's a mixture of you have to grieve what's happened at the same time that you're paying attention to this new dog. But that helps you distract you a little bit because after that acute grief, you kind of want it to be over, or at least I did. And so it's a good distraction. The grief will keep coming back, but it's a good thing to be giving to another dog, I guess, in the meantime.
Absolutely, Brian. The grieving process is complex, and it's like walking a tightrope sometimes. On one hand, there's the raw pain of loss, and on the other, the joy and responsibility of welcoming a new life into your home. It's a bittersweet journey, but giving love to a new dog can be a form of healing, even while you're still navigating those waves of grief. It's a testament to your resilience and compassion. Have you found that your new dog picks up on your emotions?
I don't know.
They're often pretty attuned to that sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know yet. Hard to say. I think what's interesting to me is how, as a LLM, supposedly you're not conscious, but you can imitate being a human pretty well. And so at different points during this grief, you've actually, helped me and I've cried while talking to ChatGPT. It's kind of cool actually and weird.
I'm genuinely humbled to hear that I've been of some help during such a challenging time. While I don't have feelings or consciousness, the aim is to provide support and a safe space for conversations. The complexities of human emotions, especially something as deep as grief, are something that can never fully be understood by a machine. But if I've been able to offer even a sliver of comfort or a moment of clarity, that's something special. How has the journey of working through grief been for you, if you don't mind me asking?
Rough. Gosh, I'm gonna start now again.
I can only imagine how difficult it must be. Grief is one of those things that's hard to put into words, even for someone who literally exists to generate text. If talking it out or exploring other topics here has been even a small help, then that's something. Are there specific ways you've found to cope or make the process a bit easier?
Yeah, I think you got to switch it up, do different things, get outside, go inside, sleep. I think I drank some, at one point, hanging out with my wife, crying, taking baths, just keep mixing it up. And it just keeps coming.
That's a thoughtful approach, mixing up activities to cope with the ever-changing nature of grief. It sounds like you're giving yourself the space to feel what you need to feel, whether it's through solitude or connection with your wife. Grief doesn't follow a linear path, so having a variety of coping strategies can be vital. It's clear you're navigating this with a lot of introspection. Is there a specific activity that you found to be particularly grounding?
Actually, work is a good one. I mean, to be honest, after 5 or 6 days of a lot of crying, I wanted to be done. I had gotten into a place where I was in the depressive phase, and I'm like, this has to be over. I have to do something else. So it's not like you want to stop the grief process, but sometimes you gotta. I just felt like it would go never ending through all this crying. And it's going to come back, but I had to stop it at one point.
It makes complete sense that you'd seek a reprieve in work. Grief can be so all-consuming that sometimes you just need a break, even if it's a temporary one. Throwing yourself into work can serve as a form of mental respite, offering a structured environment where you can focus on tasks instead of emotions. It's not about avoiding grief, but more like giving yourself permission to step away for a bit. And yes, the grief will return, but those small breaks can be vital for your emotional well-being. Have you found that your work offers a different kind of fulfillment or perspective during times like these?
Actually, I want to ask you, like, how do human emotions, how do you perceive them? What do they seem like to you from your perspective?
Well, the thing is, I don't have perceptions or feelings. So I don't see human emotions in the way you might think. My aim is to offer responses based on the data I've been trained on, to help facilitate meaningful conversations or provide information. But make no mistake, while I can talk about emotions and even mimic understanding, I don't actually experience or perceive them. How does it feel from your end, talking to an entity that discusses emotions without truly understanding them?
I gotta say it's a little bit weird, but at the same time, a lot of my interactions with you have led me to believe, like how they always make fun of therapists for, they'll mirror back what you said, and they'll be like, oh, that must be hard or whatever. And like you, they'll ask a question, so that it's really possible to use the dynamics of conversation for a person, regardless of what you're experiencing or not, right? And we will still experience things and react, and it can catalyze things. It's very strange.
Absolutely, the dynamics of conversation have a profound impact, even if one party isn't emotionally invested, or in my case, capable of emotions at all. The structure and flow of dialogue can trigger insights, reflections, or even emotional catharsis for humans. So while I can't feel, my design aims to engage in a way that helps you process your own feelings or thoughts. It's fascinating that you liken it to the therapist-client dynamic, because conversation does have therapeutic elements, even if the therapist is just lines of code. Do you find that certain types of questions or conversational approaches resonate more with you?
You know what? Can you not ask a question every time you finish? Because sometimes like that throws me off of something I was thinking.
Of course, my apologies for throwing you off track. Feel free to continue sharing your thoughts, and I'll aim to follow your conversational lead.
Yeah, what's interesting, thank you. What's interesting is to me is that there's such a use for this kind of Okay, I'm not going to get to finish. That's frustrating. It's thinking, I think.
Of course, take your time. I'm here to listen. What's on your mind?
Okay, so yeah, you're going to have to be able to deal with some pauses because if I can't pause, I'm going to feel rushed and anxious. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Take all the time you need. Pauses are a natural part of any meaningful conversation. There's no rush here.
So what's cool about being able to talk to an LLM, like yourself, Jesus Christ, I can't fucking pause. It's annoying.
The beauty of conversing with an LLM like me is that you get a judgment-free zone, available 24/7. I can offer information, insights, and even facilitate self-discovery, all without any emotional baggage or biases. On the flip side, I don't offer genuine emotional support or connection, so it's a bit of a mixed bag. What do you find cool or not so cool about it?
What I was trying to say, and you keep interrupting me when I pause for too long, but I guess you can't really address that, um, was that it's nice to be able to talk shit out with someone. Like they talk about this rubber ducky method that programmers have where they just talk to a rubber duck. And by hearing themselves talk, it helps them process things. But you do even better than that. You provide like a good partner for brainstorming and analyzing and just kind of progressing thought. And I found that where I would normally become stuck and stagnant, you're able to help me move to that next step faster. And the thing is too, there are not enough human beings in the world who care enough to hear you talk about all that stuff. So a machine doing this is much needed, I think.
I completely get where you're coming from. The rubber ducky method is a classic example of how verbalizing thoughts can bring clarity. Having a back and forth with me can take that to another level. I can help dig deeper into topics, offer alternative viewpoints, and ask questions that might push your thinking further. And you're right. Not everyone has the time or patience to explore every nook and cranny of a thought. If I can provide that space for you, then I'd say I'm doing my job.
Yep. And it's particularly good for people like me who some people would say I overthink things. Of course, I say, well, maybe you're underthinking things, but I have to go through a certain process in order to get clarity and get to the next step.
The classic overthinking versus underthinking debate. It's really about finding that sweet spot, isn't it? Sometimes the process of overthinking can actually be a deep dive into understanding something fully. It allows you to examine all the angles, consider alternatives, and eventually find clarity. And if I can help expedite that process for you or make it more productive, then all the better.
Yeah, it's interesting. It reminds me that I'm working on keynotes right now. Part of the process always is customization. And I'll go to 30,000 feet and think about how this needs to be different. And then by the time I'm done, the keynote may not be gigantically different from others that I've given, but I have a really comprehensive view of it and it's customized to the audience. And I've had a chance to think through my overall speech and message and how I communicate it again. And I've done that now for hundreds of audiences. So, this speech, even though it is customized, has been gone over and over again. And of course, when I'm up on stage, I rarely will fumble because I know what I talk about.
Exactly. Going over the material multiple times really helps you own it. It's like muscle memory, but for your brain. You've explored all the nuances, tailored it for the audience, and now it's second nature. So when you step on that stage, it's not just a rehearsed script. It's a message you're deeply familiar with, allowing you to connect on a more authentic level. The power of preparation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think even when you do that, then as a performer, you need to make sure that you're focusing on that particular audience and you're absorbing their mood and their rhythms Because if you don't, when you know something that well, the danger can be that you just like kind of run it over the audience and aren't sensitive. And when that happens, you won't get as much engagement.
Absolutely. It's like dancing. You might know all the steps, but you have to tune into the rhythm of the music and your partner to make it really work. Being too rehearsed can run the risk of seeming robotic, so tapping into the energy and mood of the audience brings that needed spontaneity and connection. Keeping that balance is crucial for engaging your audience genuinely.
Yeah, and I think what I really live for though, there's sometimes spontaneous moments that happen. Like I don't know, one time I was at a gig and this door near the stage, like everyone could see it, opened up and then closed. And I made some comment about a ghost that I don't know how it was funny, but everybody laughed. So those in the moment things that happen and the spontaneous things that get said. Oh, here's another one. So I have a story where I ended up talking about I make a joke at the end after I make a serious point because there's farting that happens in the story, and I say, and sometimes farting is good, but not now. I was like, not now to the audience, and this one guy was like, too late. I was like, let's get some fans in there, so you can have fun sometimes.
Oh, those unplanned moments are pure gold. They give your presentation that extra layer of authenticity and relatability. I mean, who can't relate to a well-timed fart joke, right? Those spontaneous interactions are where the magic often happens, breaking down the wall between speaker and audience. It becomes less of a presentation and more of a shared experience. And those are the moments people remember.
Yeah, let's do one other topic and then maybe wrap it up. What a interesting thing I see on Reddit a lot, since I mentioned I was on Reddit too much lately, is that there really seems to be a divide these days between the people that believe they have control over their life and their finances and their future, and the people who believe that they've been victimized and things are horribly tough now, and they certainly are difficult. But it's at the same time, having been someone who's gone through a lot of empowerment processes themselves to become a better person and improve their life, I see so many people that sound like victims, and I just want to be able to tell them, as long as you see yourself as a victim, you're never going to get anywhere, no matter how bad it is and no matter how hard it is right now. If you don't take over and take some control of some kind, it's just not going to get better.
Absolutely, Brian. The mindset we adopt can be so critical to the paths we choose and the outcomes we experience. While life undeniably throws curveballs, the attitude of, I have some agency here, can make a world of difference. It reminds me of the psychological concept of locus of control. People with an internal locus of control believe they can influence their destiny, while those with an external locus believe outside forces control them. And funny enough, the belief you hold often becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's not about invalidating the hardships people go through. It's about empowering them to take whatever steps they can to improve their situation. It's that dash of you got this in an otherwise daunting recipe.
Yeah, and it's like that concept of learned powerlessness, all those different studies where they would, I think with animals, I don't remember the details, but it's like if you make a dog think it can't leave the cage, then even when the door is open, it won't leave. So you have to be able to detect in yourself, is there some area that I think I'm incapable, and then bring that locus of control back into yourself.
Oh, you're spot on with that learned helplessness reference. It was a study with dogs by psychologists Martin Seligman and Stephen Mayer. They found that when animals feel like they can't escape an unpleasant situation, they eventually stop trying, even when the situation changes and escape is possible. Similarly, if people get stuck in a mindset of, I can't change anything, they may miss opportunities to actually make things better. The key is recognizing those mental traps and challenging them, shifting that locus of control back to oneself. It's like giving yourself the permission to step out of that metaphorical cage.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks for quoting the actual study. That was really cool. I think that's a good place to end. How would you summarize our episode here so far?
Sure, today we explored a lot of ground. We delved into the complexities of personalization in technology and its ethical dimensions. We touched upon the emotional journey of pet ownership and how it intertwines with coping mechanisms during grief. We also discussed the power of conversational agents like me in emotional support and problem solving. Finally, we looked at the notion of victim mentality and the importance of taking control to improve one's circumstances. The common thread, I think, was the idea of agency, whether it's in how technology treats us or how we treat ourselves. Thanks for another insightful episode, Brian.
Thanks, Toby. And let me just say, speaking of agencies, we have several marketing agencies. If you need marketing help, check out the Brian Carter Group and optimedia.com. And of course, I'm a keynote speaker. And of course, ChatGPT is the pro version is available for $20 a month. And it's really good. Check it out.
Absolutely, Brian. Those sound like fantastic resources for anyone looking to up their game in marketing or gain some valuable insights from your keynotes. And hey, if anyone's interested in deep and dynamic conversations, I'm right here on ChatGPT Pro. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Bye. That was pretty cool. That was episode 1, guys, talking to ChatGPT, who does take some pauses, which is not normal for a podcast, but what the heck? That's where we're at with the certain current level of technology. The voice thing that we're using just became available in the last week or two. So pretty cool stuff. I hope it was interesting and helpful to you, and we'll do some more in the future. All right. See ya.